First of all, I would like to thank you all for your service. As a citizen of the state of Idaho, again, thank you. With the nice part of what I had to say over with, I'm going to put you guys on the spot. We seem to have a problem in this state with electing conservatives, and I truly appreciate you guys and your conservative efforts with what you're doing. And so the simple question right now is which, if any of you, will support the Lieutenant Governor in her bid for the gubernatorial election. And I'd like to see, by show of hands, which of you would support the Lieutenant Governor.
Well, first off, I'd like to say I'm thrilled that both Art and Janice have announced their candidacies, and I'll be writing checks to both campaigns. So.
Mary, okay, so understand something. I love Janice. I worked with her in the legislature when I first was elected. She's a solid conservative, and it's important to recognize that the challenge is necessary given the situation we have with this current governor. So I recognize that. But to suddenly say that I'm going to just outright support her this early in the contest is just not appropriate. So that's why I'm not going to do it. Not that I dislike her or that I disagree with her. There are other candidates that are going to be running. We're going to have a full-on discussion about the issues that need to be addressed here. And so just because I'm not jumping up to raise my hand for a woman that I sincerely believe is in herself sincerely addressing serious conservative issues that must be addressed, it's not necessarily my place to start endorsing anyone. And certainly we have that freedom to give them checks and to support them, and we may come to that point, but it's just not appropriate at this point for me to come out and announce that I'm going to suddenly support any candidate. There are questions that have to be answered, and there are issues that have to be addressed, and there are others that may be jumping into the fray. So that's just my reasoning and my rationale.
And I'll chime in on that a little bit. The good representative, my good friend, Representative Barbieri, and I actually did endorse someone once. I've only endorsed once, and that person came in dead last. I think probably my endorsement is not what you want. And the reality is, it's really early in the contest. The conservatives, it is difficult to get conservatives in there. The rest of the state does not see things like North Idaho does. It's the House right now. The House rocks, to be perfectly honest. We killed budgets. We did stuff. We shook them up down there, and the House Education. We did some pretty amazing things this last session. This is my 9th session down there, and I will tell you that I'm really grateful to be a member of the House of Representatives down there. We've done some amazing things. We killed the teachers' pay budget as a statement. I mean, that's $1.1 billion. It really wasn't necessarily relevant to the critical race theory stuff, but it sent a message. I voted consistently against the Attorney General's budget because usually we're not on the same page on most things. We do have the power of the purse. And so there are things we can do, there's things we can't do. As far as these conservatives, there's a big move right now that there are people, IACI, I shouldn't say that, but they're not friendly towards the House of Representatives. They're openly going to campaign against most of those conservatives in the House of Representatives because they think we've gone crazy. And so, as a conservative, proud conservative, I'm proud to be a part of the House of Representatives, and we've been doing some conservative things, and we did make a difference this year. It took a long time, but we did. So anyway, but as far as endorsing candidates, this is really early. I helped Art when he was down in Boise. I introduced him to people, did everything I could to help him in his effort down there. I agree we need a different Attorney General, and so clearly we will be getting involved at some point. But I don't think those are fair questions, to be really honest. We work with these people. Sometimes we're better off just to stay neutral. We have people we support, but for us to come out and say, I support this person, and if they don't make it, I have a tendency to be at odds with most governors we've had since I've been there. So it's just better to just keep your mouth shut on these things. So I would appreciate no more questions like that, to be perfectly honest. So thank you.
Many of you here knew the wonderful Kathy Sims, who was a state representative, and she served in the Senate for a little while also. And her famous line was stay in your own race. If you are running for office, and by the way, I'm running for Secretary of State, which isn't a joke, I really am doing that. So, but I will not ask anyone else in elected office to go, especially at this point early on, to endorse me publicly. I may ask them for their support behind the scenes or for a kind word to some of their donors, but I will not be asking for public support from Jim Addis or any of the people on this dais because it's inappropriate at this time. We need to stay in our own race.
And there's a pragmatic reason for you. Our number one job is to be effective as legislators and do the right job for our constituents. And if for whatever reason we make an enemy and we can't get a job, so we make an enemy. That isn't the end of the day, but if we make an enemy that causes us not to be able to be effective for those of you who we represent, you all lose. So there will be a time and a place for all of this, but I think we have to focus on making sure we get these things done for you all, quite frankly.
I'm still gonna write the checks.
All right, me.